Change is inevitable and it's constant. For myself, that means facing the beginning of an academic year with new policies and strategic priorities along with other major restructuring. So some changes are self-directed, but much of it comes from higher administration. So I thought about talking about change from different perspectives, whether you're leading a team through a major transition or you're trying to make changes happening to you personally. One thing is clear: how we communicate change can make or break its success. So in this video, I wanted to share some of the most powerful lessons from a course that I have created on LinkedIn Learning called Communicating in Times of Change. There are some tips and some ideas that are grounded in research and tested in real workplaces, and that shaped based on emotional realities of leading people through uncertainty. The first lesson is that change communication is a campaign. It's not a one-time announcement. Think about that. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make is treating change communication like a single event, maybe a memo, a meeting, or a slide deck. No. Instead, real change requires a communication campaign, a series of intentional, well-timed messages that evolve as the change unfolds and becomes implemented. So, as we mentioned in our course, people don't resist change because they're stubborn. They resist change because they're confused, or they're scared, or they're left in the dark. Before you think about talking about change, ask yourself 5 fundamental questions. Who needs to hear about the change, and which audience needs to hear about it first? Why are you communicating this? When is the right time to share each piece of information? How will you deliver the message? What exactly will you say? These questions aren't just for planning, but they're intended for empathy. They force you to consider your audience's perspective, not just your own. Second tip: don't just inform, involve. There's a part of our course where I play a character who's excited about a new performance management system. So I burst into my colleague's office and I share the news. But when she asks me how I plan to share this with my team, I shrug and I say, well, it's simple. I'll just lay out the facts. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go very well when I do that. Facts are important, but they're not enough. People want to be involved, not just informed. They want to know the answer to questions such as, what's changing and why is it changing now? People want to know how the change will affect them, and if it's a particularly difficult change, they will want to know how they will be supported by you or the organization. Keep in mind these questions and concerns people have about change and communicate clearly and early. When you do this, you reduce fear and you build trust. When you ignore them, you invite resistance, and resistance even from your best people. Tip number 3, resistance is not the enemy, it's a clue. Exploring emotional undercurrents of resistance is key to knowing how to navigate your message, the timing of your message, and how to be empathetic. When change hits, we hear people say things like, will this affect my position? Or I just got used to the old system. Or they might be resistant because the person leading the change has not earned their trust. These are not complaints. They are clues. Clues about what matters to your people, what they fear, and what they need from you. So instead of reacting defensively, try responding empathetically. Acknowledge their concerns, even if you can't fix them. Ask open-ended questions. Listen for the emotion behind the question. And remember that resistance often comes from people who actually care deeply about their work. Tip number 4 is speak to the head and to the heart. Change is both logical and emotional. So, however, most of us default to logic about using charts and timelines or business cases. But as the Heath brothers, the authors of the New York Times bestseller Switch, they say that people are like a rider on an elephant. The rider is rational, the elephant is emotional. So if you speak to the rider, the elephant will not move. To speak to the heart, be vulnerable. Do this by sharing your own uncertainties and being comfortable with admitting what you don't know. Another key to speaking to the heart is being personal. If it applies, explain why this change matters to you and not just the organization. Finally, show your commitment. Share what you're willing to do to make the change work. Another tip is to use storytelling to inspire, not just explain. Data informs, but stories inspire. If you want people to remember and believe your message, wrap it in a story using the classic arc. Be advised that this story arc does not apply to all change communication. Some change is thrust upon us, and we might not be able to find the picture of success, but we can close with optimism when it's applicable. So the story goes like this. Once upon a time, describe the event and the current state. Then one day, introduce the challenge or the opportunity. Because of this, explain why change is necessary. Finally, show how the change will unfold. And they lived, hopefully, happily ever after, the picture of success. Stories make change feel real by helping people see themselves in the future that you are trying to create. And they're far more memorable than just bullet points. Empathy is your superpower. One theme runs through every step of this challenging process. Empathy is the foundation of effective change communication. Empathy doesn't mean sugarcoating the truth. It means understanding how the truth will land and adjusting your message accordingly. It means listening without judgment, validating others' emotions, and showing that you care. Here's one caveat. Before you show empathy to others, consider the empathy you have to show yourself. In some cases, the change you are communicating is also happening to you. As much as it may sting, there are always lessons to be learned. When I'm faced with changes that happen out of the blue, I ask myself these questions. What opportunities might this create? What skills do I need to develop? How can I influence the outcome even if I cannot control it? Or who can support me through this transition? The last question is key. Surround yourself with wise advisors and get the help you need as you navigate this tricky time. Communicating change is not about having all the answers, but it is about being present, being honest, and being human. As you prepare for your next change communication, whether you are leading it or simply relaying it, remember that your words have power. They can create confusion or clarity, resistance or resilience, fear or forward momentum. So let's choose clarity and empathy by communicating change in a way that make people feel stronger, not smaller. Follow me on LinkedIn and be sure to share this video with a friend who you think will benefit. Thank you.